So in this walkthrough, I will try to create the most basic setup instructions. First of all, I sent out a link, I think last week or maybe early this week, that said that there are now two new links for Aries. If you are a teacher and you only need to access your gradebook and your attendance, there is one link. But if you are an aide or another staff member position or a coach, for example, and you need to see the entire school, there is another link. So I will include those links in these emails that I send out. So now, as a teacher, I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. And I will try to move pretty quickly. That way, through YouTube, you can pause and rewind or fast forward as you would like. If you click Gradebook on the far left, as you can see, I have no gradebook set up. A lot of people will click Add Gradebook. You can do it that way, but it's much more difficult than just clicking Mass Add Gradebook. Now, as you can see, I have 4 different sections that I teach and a teacher aide for each section. I personally do not create a gradebook for my teacher aides. I don't assign them quizzes or homework or anything. If you do that, of course, that you might want to create a separate gradebook for them. But I think most of us just assign those teacher aides a grade at the end of the quarter or semester or whatever the reporting period is. So what I'm going to do is look at, first period Spanish 4, I'm going to click select. Second period, I also teach Spanish 4, select. Third and fourth periods, I teach Spanish 3, so I'm going to click select next to those. And what that's going to do is just create a gradebook for each section or class that I teach. You'll notice that once I click select, it then shows remove. Essentially, it's a toggle. So if I click it again, it removes it, and then I click it another time, it adds it. I know it's kind of a confusing thing that when you click something, it then says remove. So once I've clicked select on the 4 courses that I teach, I'm going to click next at the bottom. Some of you probably teach 5 and some 6. Now it's asking me what term is this gradebook for? And I think most, if not all of us, teach both a fall term and a spring term. So August to December or January till May. So since we're now in August, I'm going to click fall right here. I'm going to click the select button and I'm going to click create. And what that's going to do in the next few seconds, it's going to create a gradebook for every course that I teach, but it's also going to associate that gradebook with the group of students who have signed up for that class. And as such, you see at the top of the screen now in bright red, add drop students. So if I click add drop students and then I click all entering students in the top left, I should now have populated a list of every single student that's assigned to me. If I have all entering students selected in the top left and add all students in the bottom here, that will automatically take my list of 120 or 180 students and divvy them up into the correct classes. So I'm going to click close. Now, later on, maybe a week from now or maybe even a few days from now, this button here will show back up because you have students who might add or drop. If I click the refresh button right now, that should disappear because currently, as of 6:27 p.m. on Wednesday, I have no new students adding or dropping. The next step that I suggest that everyone take is to click link gradebooks and link all of your gradebooks together. Now, for me, even though I teach Spanish 3 and 4, in those 2 different courses, I have the same essential assignment categories. I assign quizzes, homework, projects, a final exam, and regular exams. If you teach a set of preps where you have totally different categories for each class, this might not apply to you. But for me, I'm going to link all of these classes together. So I'm going to put them all in group 1, for example. The group number has really no difference. If I put them all in group 2 or all in group 3, it wouldn't matter. But I'm going to put all my classes in group 1 and click save. Now, what that means is every single change that I make to one gradebook, because they're all linked together, will be applied to every single gradebook I have. So now, for example, since my gradebooks are all linked under group 1, if I go to Spanish 4 for period 1 and click manage gradebook, and if I create categories. So, for example, for me, I might create homework and I might create classwork and I might create exams and projects. Okay, if I create those categories, and for me, I do weighted scoring, so I might say, okay, which you do not, of course, have to. I might say, okay, each one of these is worth 20%, except the last portion, which is actually worth 40%, because maybe projects are really important to me. Since I linked all my grade books together just a second ago, all of these assignment categories will not only go to my first period Spanish 4, but as you should see here, will also go to my second period Spanish 4 and my third period Spanish 3. So essentially, the rationale behind linking all your courses together at first is that if you do the same categories across all classes, it makes it very easy to just make one set of categories and it will automatically be disseminated to all those classes. The same is true for final marks. If I teach 3 preps, for example, but in every prep an A plus is worth between 98% and 100%, and an A is worth between 93 and 97.99, and so on. If I edit these while all my gradebooks are linked together, essentially I only have to do that once. Now, if you have different grading scales or different categories for your different preps, then you would want to link them accordingly. So, for example, if in my case, if Spanish 4 and Spanish 3 had different categories or different final marks, I would want to put Spanish 4 in group 1 and Spanish 3 in group 2. In the next video, I'll show you how to make assignments and how to do some very basic gradebook